Let's get all sorted. I'm James.
And I'm Jeff. Well, it's summer of 2018. So you know what that means, James. It's time to look back and do our 2017 year in review.
Hello, Jeff.
Hey, James.
And a reminder to listeners, if you're looking for show notes or images or anything else that we might talk about or whatever in this episode, head over to breakingdads.com.
Breakingdads.com?
Breakingdads.com. We're going to be listing this episode, so I'm sure we will probably put the list over on the site.
There'll be lists and links.
Maybe.
It's exciting times over at The Breaking Dads. Don't type The Breaking Dads, though, because that's not going to get you anywhere. If you're enjoying the show, please remember to leave a rating on iTunes. It really helps others find us, and we truly appreciate everyone that's taken the time to do so far.
And finally, thanks to all of our patrons. We appreciate the support. It's awesome and helps us a lot. So thank you. And we're doing our massive blowout extravaganza. It's the ball falling from or rising or whatever it does at the end of the year. It's like New Year's, except we're talking about 2017.
We're dropping a Lowell sphere of Lego.
Exactly.
From the top of the Lego diner.
Heavy.
Yeah, it could be.
Don't stand under that.
That'll crush a minifig, for sure. But we don't want to crush minifigs. We want to talk about Lego. Well, let's go back. Around this time that we recorded is when Lego releases their big annual report.
Right.
Which is as corporate-y a corporate thing that's ever been corporated.
It's the cure for insomnia. It's something.
It is whatever the opposite of a page turner is.
Yeah, you texted me. You're like, "How's it going?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm reading the annual report, and I'm having trouble staying awake." I don't mind reading boring financial documents. It's especially boring because there's nothing salacious in it.
No, nothing salacious, but there are adorable pictures of children playing with Lego.
I think they do that to keep you awake every once in a while.
I think that's
then you're like, "Oh, look at that! That's well done."
I think really it comes down to telling the people reading this, hey, remember, it's about the toys.
It's true. Corporate ethos. It's about the kids.
But we picked out some highlights from this beautifully put together. You can only spend a lot of money putting the report together.
It has quality.
There's color coding.
Yeah.
There's fonts.
I got the impression, I think if we could sum it up, Jeff, I don't think Lego made any money last year.
It did seem, reading it's like, oh man, what a terrible year it was. And to be fair, they did have what you would call issues, I guess. Let's get into the numbers, shall we?
Okay.
Because they're exciting. So for the Lego Group, revenue for the full year declined 8% to Danish krone 35 billion.
Which sounds crazy.
I mean, that's terrible. They only made 35 billion, which is about 5.8 US dollars.
That's saying...
5.8 billion.
That's so much more sane. Wait, that's still absurd.
Yeah. Oh, God. You couldn't get over 6 billion? What a terrible year.
Yeah.
And to be fair, in 2016, they'd done 37.9 billion Danish krone, or around 6.28 billion US.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
And what did they attribute that shift to?
Well, they spent a lot of time fixing their supply chain.
Okay.
Basically not having as much old inventory hanging around as long. And that makes sense. As well, the toy market in their established markets of North America and Europe dropped. They weren't having the growth they'd had in past years. Although China was still growing at double digits.
Now, I wonder how much having Toys R Us go away is going to impact them in the U.S.
It has to. I mean, you could say, well, sure, everyone that was going to spend money at Toys R Us would go onto Amazon and buy it anyway.
Right.
But I don't think it's that simple because a good chunk of Lego money comes from Grandma and Grandpa going into a toy store and going, they like Lego, and buying it. And Grandma and Grandpa aren't clicking on Amazon.
Well, I don't know. Are they? Or I don't know anymore. Not to stereotype old people. I have no idea.
Well, my grandma and grandpa aren't, but also most of them aren't around anymore. So that maybe is
problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how people are buying. Like maybe they'll see increased sales via Lego.com.
Yeah, or even the Lego stores, which they continue to open.
Right.
As that might become some communities' de facto toy store now.
That's true. Which could end up being positive for Lego, I guess. More overhead and stuff, but more sales? I don't know.
It will be an interesting shift.
I have no idea
for
what
sure.
their plans are there, but
Maybe the independent stores will finally be able to compete.
I don't know.
Will we see independent toy stores pop up in the wake of Toys R Us being gone?
Well, the ones we have a couple interesting independent toy stores here, but they tend to be really they like
Expensive?
Well, I was trying. No, I wasn't going to frame it in economic terms. Just more like the kinds of products they have are really nichey. Like
For
they
sure.
have like like really odd year. If they're gonna get like Danish toys, they're gonna be import like things that you've never heard of. You're like, what is this? And they're like, it's a toy. Seriously, really? I don't know. It looks like car parts.
But part of that, the inventory independent stores have reflect the competition they had.
Right.
You weren't going to compete with Toys R Us on Mattel toys.
But I don't know if they're now going to give the shelf space to Lego.
There was definitely Lego was there before, but we're in a weird market anyway because Toys R Us is still around.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
a good point. Yeah.
But I don't know
Us being Canada.
what Toys R Us Canada is going to look like without Toys R Us Canada is not going to have the exclusive Lego sets
No.
that Toys R Us had.
Yeah. And whether or not it just gets absorbed, I don't know what's going on with that.
It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be weird.
So Lego has that facing. That's for the future, though, James. Let's talk about
right.
2017.
Whoa.
And I want to put this money, this 5.8 billion US they earned last year, into perspective. So for perspective, the Lego Group earned almost $15.9 million US per day, 622,000 US dollars per hour, 11,000 US dollars a minute. That works out to $184 a second. At that rate, they would have earned more than $3,500 since I started this paragraph.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right.
James, did we make $3,500 in the time it took me to read that paragraph?
I did. No, I did not. I did not.
I did not either. So, in a weird way, Lego's still doing very well.
Yeah.
Just not as well as they'd hope to be doing. In Denmark, the average household income is around 40,000 US dollars per year. So in 2017, it would have taken the Lego Group less than 4 minutes to make that same money.
That's bananas.
That boggles the mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, I can't even comprehend that.
Yeah, so sales are down, but Lego's doing okay.
No, I mean, that must be big for them to, after all as we've talked about in previous episodes, all the financial woes they had back in the day. They're very conscious of that, and they seem to be taking everything in stride and being cautious.
For sure.
They don't seem like being crazy with their decision making at the moment.
And even taking the steps to reduce the backstock available around the world. I think it's a good choice for their brand. I get what they're trying to do, and you don't want to have old stock sitting on store shelves.
No.
Or in back rooms, because that's going to limit the orders you're going to get from the stores.
Yeah.
However,
and it's hard to push those new products too when you've got so much old inventory. You can't retire stuff as quick, and it doesn't make sense.
No, and that being said, as an adult fan of Lego, I get frustrated because at least in our market, I go into Walmart and half the shelves are empty.
Yeah.
They don't have the inventory at all.
Right.
And I don't know if that's the lack of ordering in our market because they don't know what's happening with toys where I live.
Huh.
But it has affected my ability to go into Walmart at certain times of year or go into London Drugs. I used to always be able to go into London Drugs and get a set at 40, 50, 60% off.
Which is our like, I don't even know what that compares to. It's like a one-stop shop. They used to be a computer store that did a lot of electronics.
They used to be a drugstore.
Well, a drugstore that also did a lot of computer stuff. And now they do everything. They're the weirdest place.
They're like Canadian Tire. Way to make it worldwide, Jeff.
Yeah. No, everyone knows about Canadian Tire.
Which is a tire store that barely sells tires now.
And has their own currency. Canada.
It's funny because it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, this issue of inventory is weird too. Like my daughter had some gift money and she was looking, as through the wish book of things, and it was like, I want this one. I was like, I'm sorry, honey, that says retired. That's out of stock. That's not coming back. And I think there's going to be more of that, where if you don't get it while it's here, it's just bye. Oh, look, the new one's here.
Which makes sense because each year, Lego, their sales to consumers, about 60% of those sales come from new launches.
Wow.
Yeah. So you can see why they would want dead stock off the shelves.
Yeah.
New stock on the shelves. They want that turnover. The days of seeing us the same set on the shelves year after year after year, or even month after month after month, are going to be gone.
Which I get. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Just consumer desire is being driven and wallets are being emptied.
The new hotness.
Sadness is...
Is this a factor of attention spans, or is it the ubiquity of information? And I'm sure I said all of those words right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Where in the past you would have to go into the store to see what's new.
Yeah.
But now, as a Lego fan, I mean, by the time stuff hits the shelves, I already feel like it's old because I've been looking at or hearing about it for months.
I do feel like they're probably responding to the way the market is acting, which is exactly that. It's like, it is crazy nowadays. Like, especially being we're of the age we remember before the internet. And now, if something hits, it's going to be here and done in the time it takes for most people to go make a coffee. And then you're just like, oh, that was a thing. Whereas before, a fad would, or a thing that was exciting to people would last for a while. If a toy was new, it would be around a bit. Mm-hmm. No, this will be like, oh, that set is, it's already sold out.
But part of it's tough to me because I miss the impulse buy of Lego.
Right.
Where I would go into a store and I would go...
planning in advance.
Now all of my Lego, 100% of my Lego purchases... It's a military
operation.
Yeah, it's, okay, this set's coming out in 6 months. It's going to cost this.
Spreadsheet. You got Q3, here's my Lego money, and here's what I'm allocating for.
Absolutely.
That's horrible.
Yeah. And then I talk myself out of sets.
Right.
Because it's like, that doesn't fit into the budget. Whereas before it was, look, I want that. I should get that.
I should go to there and then you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a brave new world out there.
They're ruining your impulse buying.
And everything new is old again.
I don't.
So it'll be interesting to see how that continues. But I do get if the bulk of your money coming in comes from new items, you'll want a lot of new items. And Lego does a lot to make sure they have those new items.
Yeah.
To create the new products, Lego employs more than 250 designers in more than 40 different countries, though most of the designers are based in Beeland.
Huh.
They also invest in trend spotting and anthropological studies to aid in the development of specific studies and campaigns. I thought that was an interesting little just sentence.
I like that. Let's call them anthropological studies to see how it's like market testing.
They put children in a room and see what they like.
Yeah, but that sounds good. Let's wrap it in social science. That's a fuzzy pillow.
But that's... I mean, they got to spend the money to find out what the people want. Because they're not building a dozen sets. These are tens of thousands. Yeah. It would be a small order, right?
No, totally.
Yeah. So is it going to work? And is it only going to play in New York, or is this going to get worldwide appeal?
Which is funny, especially given that what their best selling lines are. It's weird that they also then are putting all this effort into all this, that when they really already know what their best-selling lines are. Like, it's interesting.
To me, I find, because they always list their top lines in the annual report, but I take it with a grain of salt, because they said in 2017, the top-selling lines were Lego City, Lego Ninjago, Lego Creator, and Duplo.
Gift sets is what I see.
For sure.
I see birthday parties and grandparents.
I mean, City makes sense because they make a lot of sets.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like, hey, let's get the kid a street cleaner. Like, that's a $25 set done. For
sure, a lot of lower price sets, but they also have the police station and the fire station and the trains.
And then Billy likes Ninjago, so let's do that for Christmas.
And I bet a lot of the money Ninjago made was on some of the larger sets they put out this year. Creator is driven almost entirely by the giant sets or the small sets.
Right.
But the giant sets are really giant for Creator. That's your modular buildings.
Yeah.
That's your...
If they're calling it a top selling line, it's got to be the big stuff.
And then Duplo. That shocks me.
Huh. I wonder if that's just gifts. Legos, I can't tell you the number of birthdays we've given Lego to in the past. Like, over the years here, it's books or Lego. Mm-hmm. We don't vary much off of that. I mean, now that our kids are getting older, I think we've done the last couple of times with your kids, we've done like video game,
right?
Like gift cards. Like they're at that age where they're like, I'm not even going to try this. This is the landmine. Here's stuff. Go get what you want.
Yeah. I do miss the Lego.
Yeah, I know.
Because then I'd wait till they take it apart, and
You'd
then I go
absorb
in
it.
and I get the parts I need.
Beautiful.
Borrow them.
I'm sorry I'm wrecking your pick-a-brick.
Yeah, it really, that was my best price per part when somebody else buys it.
That's true. So yeah, they probably don't get Lego anymore like they used to, right? Like it's funny when they're at a certain age, it is a good gift.
Yeah, I mean, my oldest has definitely entered his dark ages for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now all these sets are going to come out that when he's a grown up, he's going to spend tens of thousands of dollars recouping because he missed out on them.
I find with it's even on gender lines, my daughter, a lot of the stuff we'll do is it's books or Lego with hers. And it's like the girls are loving all the friend sets and elf sets and stuff. Totally popular.
Which is weird because, again, I go to, in my store, the friend section is wiped out. After Christmas, they literally had 3 sets on the shelf.
Wow.
Yeah, and yet I don't see friends listed in their top selling line.
That's interesting, eh?
Yeah, and I wonder if it's, by top selling, they actually mean profitable because they spend a lot of money marketing friends because it's still new and a new segment for them. And I wonder if the cost of the marketing is offsetting the sales.
I wonder if they'll see it'd be interesting to see what next year's numbers look like.
Yeah. And then the other sales note that I found odd is the sentence, Lego Star Wars performed in line with expectations, which is weird because Star Wars always has the most sets released in a year. So it has to be the top selling line, right? I mean, they have Star Wars sets from small poly bags on up to giant Death Stars.
Performed in line with expectations. They were like, it's going to rain money, and it did.
Right.
Is that what they're saying? I don't know.
And as a private company, they don't have to be super transparent with this information. You don't want to say, our top selling line by a wide margin was Lego Star Wars. Hey, let's enter into negotiations with Lucasfilm for the next contract. Hey, Disney, what royalty do you want? All of it?
Yeah. Weird.
It has to be their top selling line.
Got to be.
It has to be. I mean, half the store shelf is Lego Star Wars.
No, exactly. And it because it'll suck people in that are even not Lego people.
Right. Yes. There are probably more people with one Lego Star Wars set than one any other set.
Yeah, totally.
So there you go. Lego's doing okay.
Lego's doing okay.
Profit-wise, so the first number was revenue. How much money do they bring in? The big thing in a business, though, is to actually turn a profit. And the Lego Group took a big hit in 2017. They dropped from 9.4 billion Danish krona, which is about 1.5 billion US in 2016, down to a paltry 7.8 billion Danish krona, or 1.3 billion US. So that's $200 million less than the previous year in profit.
Now, did you mention already globally where the sales are happening?
Yeah, so it's flat in most of the world.
Okay.
And then China is still having double-digit growth.
Okay, it still is. Wow.
Yeah. They're still penetrating that market. And there's a middle class now that will buy Lego over the knockoffs because of the status that it entails, right?
Interesting. Okay, so it is actually they're competing with the knockoff market still. Like they're actually holding against it.
Well, to be fair, the advantage they have, if somebody buys one Lego set at its prices, how many dozens of knockoff sets do they have to sell to make recover the same amount of money?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if unit-wise the knockoffs are outselling, but revenue-wise and profit-wise, yeah.
That makes sense. Now, we each sat and took a gander through all of 2017, which was interesting. I was like, oh, right, that was 2017. And we both picked our top 3.
Yes, we did.
And so, I don't know, do you want to go first with your number 3?
I would love to, James.
Okay, Jeff, what is your number 3? Drum roll, imaginary drum roll. And let us know, Jeff, what is number...
At number 3, the collectible minifigure series, the Lego Batman.
I wouldn't have guessed this one. This is no. If I had to guess your top 3, I wouldn't have guessed this. And now when you said it, though, I'm like, yeah, of course it is. Of course it is.
This is as a Lego Batman fan, this series has more figures that I never thought would see the light of day. But here they are. And now they're in my collection. And they're amazing. From obscure villains like Mime, who is a mime, Orca, who is a whale.
What?
And Eraser, eraser who looks like a pencil eraser.
That is one of the best minifigures.
Okay, if you want to talk obscure, Eraser, since Batman's inception, has appeared in 12 comics. 12. 12.
That is bananas.
It's insane.
That's a deep cut.
And he's not
How did they
he's not
decide?
even really a criminal. He's just a guy that criminals could hire to erase the evidence of their crimes.
He's a cleaner.
Exactly what he is. He's a cleaner who was mad at Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne stole his date to the Arctic dance or whatever dance it was.
Is that the backstory?
That's the backstory.
Oh my gosh. Back in 1953?
70 something, I believe.
Jeez.
Very just.
This makes sense from you though. This is a
Absolutely.
Jeff top 3, or number 3. Because I could imagine you. Do you have all of these?
I have all of these.
Did this come as a set, or is
These
this
are blind bags?
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, so
Yeah.
you have all of these.
And I'm very happy with them.
How many of these do you have in octuples?
I don't want to mention that.
Was it a pretty good
my blind bag
ratio?
feeling skills are not good.
No.
Yeah, so but that's okay. That's okay. There's some really cool parts, I tell myself, with these.
You got to stop putting them in your mouth to figure out. That's the trick.
I have to go by taste. I can't go by feel.
Yeah.
I got to go by taste.
Yeah, no, there's a little bit more plastic in this
Maybe I
one.
should sniff it instead.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
No. That leads to going to the doctor, and you're too old for that.
That's true. That's a very good point. That was my number 3.
Wow.
What do you got at number 3, James?
It was hard. It was
hard.
This was so hard, Jeff, because I showed you, I think, my top 8, and I had to pare it down before this episode, and it hurt me a little bit inside. It really did. I was like, oh, but these are so nice.
Yeah, you were struggling with it until I asked you the question.
Yeah.
It's Christmas morning.
Yeah.
You look under the tree. There's
Yeah.
a box. It's definitely Lego.
Yeah.
What do you want it to be?
And that was a great way of framing it, because then I was like, immediate decision. It's set number 42064, Ocean Explorer. There's something about the boats that they do. I love the boats. I don't know why. I have no idea why.
And this is a very functional boat.
It is. And there's something very clean about the design. It's not like, it doesn't look overly complex when you look at it. And I like the helicopter and the, whatever you call that thing, the submarine. Those are cool looking. So I was just like, I'm going to go with this. I mean, it's Technic.
Yeah.
But it's just a really nice Ocean Explorer set.
It looks very complete. I think that's the nice thing. You can almost see James Cameron walking around on the back deck waiting for his little sub to get out.
I was thinking this is probably more like Greenpeace, and this is ramming whaling ships. That's where the direction I was going with. But
That would be the direction you go.
You do your thing.
I don't know if it would hold up to ramming.
I don't think so. The helicopter might do some strafing. I don't know what this one's doing, but we'll pretend. Anyway, that was I could
It's a great boat.
It is a great boat.
And it's 1,300 pieces, so you would have a good time putting that together.
I think that's what it was. Just the size and the I was like, it has the fun factor. I'm going to be spending some time doing this.
Absolutely.
Now you're number 2. What did you have?
At number 2, I went with 10255 Assembly Square.
Of course you did.
I mean, you know that I love my modulars.
I almost did this one as well. I think we had a lot of the same ones, and then I was like, Jeff's going to do this one. This is such a good set.
It's got so much detail crammed into it.
It does.
Just, I mean, it was the anniversary set. There's 4,002 pieces.
It's absurd.
It's just personality on top of personality on top of personality.
18 months to build, I think.
It took me a while, for sure, and I enjoyed every second of it. I will say I'm still a little weirded out by the fact that some of the businesses you can only get to by walking through other businesses. I find it odd that, like, to get a photo, you have to rely on a dentist office to be open.
That's a little odd.
But outside of those weirdnesses,
Yeah.
it's just gorgeous. It's just, they'd outdone themselves. I don't know how they're going to top it.
I don't know. Yeah, and architecturally, it's nice to look at. It's not trying to be too, like, nothing's garish. It's not really like, look at me. It's just, it's functional, but in a way that it looks like a whole city block crammed in there, just because they did such a, like, they melded those buildings together so nicely. Like, this, all very different looking, and it's wonderful.
It does perk the street right up.
Oh yeah.
So that was easily my number 2. It was not a question.
I can imagine. So you built this one.
This is one I have built, yes.
Yeah, that also makes it closer to your heart.
That's true. That's true. There's something about putting a set together that just gives you
After you
an
spend
emotional connection.
4,587 hours with it, you just love it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Well, my number 2, Jeff, was more whimsical. I went in a fun direction. I was like, okay, what's joy? And joy is embodied by set 10257, Carousel.
Very nice. This was actually my number 4.
I could see
it was really close to making its way out of my list, but it didn't have any Batman villains.
Well, you could have, with your giant set of Batman stuff, you could have made this a Batman carousel.
If this carousel was in my city, it would be covered with Batman villains.
That would be awesome. That would be phenomenal.
And I think what really sells a set is it's a carousel, but it's not just horses.
No.
They've got your swan and
menagerie.
your tiger. Exactly. It's a good classic carousel.
It's a good carousel. Have you ever been to, there is a carousel here, like a functioning old school carousel that has a Wurlitzer, and it goes like 400,000 miles an hour, and it's like old. It's a old wooden horse carousel. Have you ever seen that one?
I haven't. I think my father-in-law really liked it. He had a thing for carousels.
I have to tell you, I got dragged to it thinking this is going to be, it's a historic village area.
Oh, is that in Burnaby Village?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought this is going to be boring.
I've probably walked past it.
Oh no, dude. I had a hoot. I would go back easily. My kids have been like,
Whoa. A hoot?
I had a hoot.
Was it a hoot and a half?
It could have been a hoot and a half. It wasn't a hoot nanny, but it was a hoot and a half. It was so much fun. So I was like, I think I gained an appreciation for Carol. I was like, holy cow. But you think back in the day, this would have been like, people didn't drive that fast. People didn't go 110 kilometers an hour on the roads, whatever that is in miles. It didn't, you can imagine that a carousel really was a thing of wonder at a certain point. It was a thing you'd go to a date, and it was exciting. It was a thrill. Like the actual ride itself. And you think of them as being kind of like do.
Yeah.
No, this thing hauls. Like it's almost scary how fast it goes.
Right, because it wanted that sense of motion and wonder, and
it does.
It wanted to make you dizzy, and it was basically drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what it was.
Hey, let's go do speed. No,
yeah, let's go do speed.
It's really big too. I was surprised at how huge it is. And that's how like dates go wrong, I think.
Yes, I could definitely see the gentleman thinking this will be a great date, and then is cleaning vomit off of their shoes, and they're like, I guess that didn't go well.
Yeah, no, stay away from carousels and hard drugs, kids. They're just it's all bad, especially on dates.
But it is a wonderful set, and at only $26.70 for parts. That's not bad.
I didn't even think it was that many parts.
There's a lot
there's
going on.
So many
there.
details.
Yeah.
But anyway, it occurred to me, not even when I chose it, but when I mentioned your personal attachment to that last set, I thought, oh, that must be why I chose this. Because I was like, why did I choose this? I think, it's because I have a fondness for carousels now that I didn't know I had previously. So, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, we need a big drum roll.
At number 1,
Boom, boom,
on Jeff's list, 70620, Ninjago City.
You had to.
This is the only one on my list that I don't own.
Oh,
and
man,
I want it. The only reason I don't have it is because I don't have enough money.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
And because I have very little impulse control, but I want to remain married.
Yeah,
I try to keep my collection to the superheroes.
Right,
and I want to justify Ninjago as superheroes.
When you go into the store, you stab yourself in the leg with a brick separator every time you walk by this, just so that you have like this bad
I can't tell you how long I've stared at the display.
It's so nice, Jeff.
It's
blossom tree growing out there. It's the comic shop.
Lego designers are famous for how many details they can pack into a set.
And this has them all.
This is the one that has to be held up high as the most cram-packed there's little jokes in it, and there's functional fun things, and just weird cohesiveness.
The telecom equipment on the roof. And the little air, the plane beacon. Like if you cover the top of the set, it actually loses a whole bunch.
Oh, for sure.
And you add that weird little, that's not even the biggest part, but you add that weird city detail, and it just is like it just has so many things.
Any part you take out,
it crumbles.
Exactly. The cherry blossoms on the side, the river through the tunnel underneath.
I know, it's amazing.
It's just, Ninjago City is the right name for it because it is an entire city packed into 32 by 32 bricks.
And I feel like this has so much play potential wrapped up in it as well. This isn't just a display piece. Like I could see,
I know.
My daughter would be playing with this for like the next year.
Well, she'd be assembling it for like next year.
Yeah.
As it's only 4867, 4,867 parts. But look at it. I honestly don't know if Lego will ever make a better set than this. Period. There's people out there just cringing because they have their favorites.
I guess.
But this is going to be, there's a lot of kids right now that are like 12, 13 who are begging their parents to buy this, and their parents aren't going to buy it for them. And this will be the thing that they spend a ridiculous amount of money on when they're 30.
I think, this captures that, I think the image of a city like Tokyo where you've got so many variant things mashed into a tiny amount of space, where you will have, a full functional restaurant that's like a closet underneath of some other bizarrely, like just anachronistic stuff all rammed together. I think this kind of captures that image. And I don't know what other theme could pull this kind of a set off, where you have that much just jammed in, right?
Oh, for sure.
And it nails it. Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. It's got, I
know, my eyes keep wandering around it as I look at it, and it's just an endless like conversation piece too. I think if you brought somebody over who's not into Lego and you had this on your table, I think it would just be like the conversation piece for the evening, because I think somebody would just be continually finding things and going, "Oh my gosh, like it is amazing."
It is a set that you have to reach out and touch for sure.
Yeah, that is an excellent number one.
Oh, way to go, Lego. Okay, James, what do you have for your the best of 2017?
I don't have that set because I knew you were going to pick that set, and I was like, I'm not going to pick it. I'm going to pick something else.
You secretly turned your top 3 into a top 5.
Kind of is. But you know what? This set is, I genuinely, this is one of my favorite sets. And probably actually is my favorite, because I know the Ninjago City it's a dream. It's a fever dream that's out of the grasp of mortals. So I went with set 21310, Old Fishing Store. And I don't know why, man. I love this ramshackle set. It just has a lot of weird colors and details going on, like all the patches on the roof. And
so I think the Ninjago City is a great example of hyper reality.
Yeah.
Right? It's sort of evocative of a city like Tokyo while not being reality.
And this is the opposite of that.
It's hyper reality. Wait, what did I say the other thing was?
You said Ninjago's hyper reality. This is just pure realism.
Pure realism. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. A seagull, a seagull's on the roof, people down below, just doing their daily stuff out at a ramshackle fishing shack.
Yeah.
And I don't know, this is I remember seeing this when they were, I think, collecting votes for ideas, and thinking, yeah, this has got to get built. I don't think I thought this one would get built though, because it just was too nice.
Yes.
And it looked too big, and I thought, no way. But I'm glad to see it there, and it's 2,000 pieces. It's a substantial set, but it's just the boards and the detailing on the outside. I think we'll see a lot more of that kind of stuff, just because it gives it so much character so easily, having all those plates on the outside like that.
We've all passed something that looks like this. If you live by the coast anywhere,
yeah, exactly,
you have seen this, that the roof that's been repaired and repaired and repaired and repaired, never replaced. Yeah. And it's both weathered and worn down, and yet sturdy and strong.
And then my whaling ramming vessel can just park up down the shore. I didn't realize I had 2 nautical themes for my. That makes sense that we live on the West Coast, I guess.
Yeah.
It's something that personally appeals to us. That is totally what it is.
That could be why you were humming "Come Sail Away."
Yes,
the whole time.
And I've got this cob pipe in my mouth. I'm sorry, it's a bit smoky in here right now. Yeah,
my dad used to have a cob pipe.
Did he?
Yeah, for real.
It was a weird affectation, wasn't it? He was like, "This looks cool." Was he wearing a captain's hat?
He had several pipes. The cob pipe was not his primary pipe.
Ah,
yes.
Was it like a cherry red pipe or something?
His primary pipe?
Yeah.
It was a dark wood. I don't think it was cherry, but it was a dark wood, maybe a walnut.
I guess your dad's he would have been a formidable man with a pipe.
He would have. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He's still around. He just doesn't smoke anymore.
Yes, which is good. I'm glad to hear that.
His children all made him quit smoking.
Yeah, no.
Yes. It's a good aside. I don't know where that came from. I think because it's such an old building, that's making me think of past days. And then you said corncob pipe, and that was it for me. I was transported back to
when
1984.
you know somebody who's smoked a pipe, it's a very it's one of those weird details. Yeah, it's not. No one does it anymore. But when you know a pipe smoker, it's like it's ingrained in your mind.
I mean, I know a lot of pipe smokers now, but they're not putting tobacco in their pipes.
No, it's a lot of vaping. And
we should mention we're in the west coast of Canada again.
Yeah. That was a big year for.
It was a big year
for Lego.
They did, and I think the biggest change of all that we didn't even talk about yet is that Lego managed to change their CEO twice in 2017.
Yeah,
which is pretty impressive. So in October of 2017, Niels B. Christensen, no relation to Ole Kirk Christensen,
right,
took over from Bali Pada, who was only CEO of Lego for 8 months.
That was a short term.
Short term, and he was the first non-Dane CEO in the company's 85 years.
And they didn't like what they...
I think that the story is that he did great, he did fine.
Of course he did.
That he was an older man that knew he wasn't going to have the job for long, maybe only a couple years.
Makes sense that
maybe
they gave
significantly
it to him.
less.
Yeah.
He'd been with the company a long time. But then this new Christensen became available. He apparently comes from did I say Danfoss?
I think so.
Yes, which is a large, I believe, food, agricultural.
I believe they do weird food exports here.
Yeah.
That's
So
what I
another
associate
big
them with.
Danish company where they're like, here's the man we really want. Good job, Bally.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a busy year.
No, for a company that has not had a lot of CEOs,
No.
to have 2 in 1 year.
Exactly.
I mean, they've had 2 fires in 1 year, but they haven't had 2 hires to that position in 1 year.
And I think that would make them be conservative.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that stability is good. Let's stick with stability.
Let's have a Dane in charge.
Exactly. I'm sure everybody listening has their favorite top 3, top 10, top 25 from last year. Because, man, there was a lot to choose from.
A lot to choose from.
Head over to the show page. Let us know. I'm curious always what people... what was doing it for everybody else? What is the personal story behind your favorite?
Is there a favorite on your list that you didn't get to build that you want to build desperately? Or were you one of the lucky few that got to build your top 3? We'd love to hear from you.
And if you have any other comments or anything else you want to yell at Jeff, you can do so over on Twitter.
I'm at Still Sorting.
And until next time, I've been James.
And I'm still Jeff.